The June 9th, 2015 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
President Adair.
Here.
Mr. Ansello. Here. Ms. Andrews. Here. Mr. Baroth. Here. Ms. Boyce. Here. Dr. Carbone. Here. Mr. Colby. Here. Mr. Daniele. Here. Mr. Delahanty. Here. Mrs. Draw. Here. Mr. Flagler Mitchell. Here. Mr. Gamble. Here. Mr. Gamina. Here. Mr. Haney. Here. Mr. Howland. Here. Ms. Cayley. Here. Mr. John Lightfoot. Here. Mr. Willie Lightfoot is excused. Mr. Marionetti. Here. Mr. Michike. Here. Mr. Morelli. Here. Dr. Quattro. Here. Mr. Rocco. Here. Mrs. Stick. Here. Ms. Taylor. Here. Mr. Tucciarello. Here. Mrs. Valerio. Here. Mr. Wilcox. Here. Mr. Yolovich.
Here. Please stay seated. At this time, I'd like to introduce Bishop Jerry McCulloch of the Faith Temple Apostolic Church, who's been invited here tonight by Legislator Willie Lightfoot. Bishop.
Good evening. Let us bow our heads. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is our refuge and fortress. In our God will we trust. We pray that you'll bless us here tonight. Bless this great city. We ask, oh God, that you'll clear the violence that's in the city. We want peace and tranquility. We pray that you'll bless us and help us, oh God, to live out our creed, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. During our pursuit, Lord, let us understand that we're all brothers. You said you took one blood and you created mankind. So we are each other's keepers. So help us to love one another as you give us wisdom and knowledge tonight. These men and women come to make decisions for this community. Bless them with wisdom from on high. If you'll do these things, we'll be careful to give you the honor, the glory, and the praise in your name. Amen.
You've received a copy of the journals for day 5, May 12, 2015, and May 6, day 6, I'm sorry, May 28 of 2015. Without exception, these journals are going to stand as approved, as submitted. There's a hearing loop in place tonight to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anywhere requiring assistance should inquire at the clerk's office.
If you have a cellular phone, pager, or other electronic devices in your possession, I would ask that you make it inaudible for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are now in your folders. I'd also like to welcome tonight Cub Scout Troop 222, which is right there. Howdy. And they are from Charlotte, and they have been invited here tonight by Legislator Tony Michike. So welcome. At this time, it's a great honor of mine to introduce from the Monroe County Parks Department for the plan of the month, Mr. Mark Quinn. Mark?
Thank you. Good evening. Our plan of the month this month is Angelonia. Common names can be angel flower or summer snapdragon. It's actually a perennial, but it's not a perennial here. If you were living in Florida, it would come back year after year. You can actually get this to come back if you take it in just before frost. Probably not worth it. It grows great as an annual. It's grown here as an annual. Comes in beautiful blues and purples, whites. It's a really nice niche plant. This is a plant that'll do very well in a droughty area. Once you get it established, if you put it in full sun, it's going to like it. In other words, it's not going to like it here. It's here for a brief stint, and it'll end up planted somewhere out in the sun very soon. won't do well in shade at all. On the other hand, if you're going away for the summer and you're going to be gone for a few weeks and you come back, you find only 2 or 3 of the flowers in your garden are still blooming and alive. This is the type of flower that's that way. You can leave it alone for several weeks and it'll do okay in a hot, sunny area. It's really a southern plant. Some nice things about it is it continues to bloom throughout the summer. You don't have to do a lot of work with this one. The flowers fall off all by themselves. You don't have to do any kind of pruning or deadheading of the flowers. Really pretty plant. Another great benefit is it's deer resistant. I think these will end up in Genesee Valley Park in the long run, where we have a lot of deer. They just don't like this flower at all. Again, it's a really nice flower, but you really have to put it in full sun. Once you've got it established, you got to give it a couple weeks of watering before it really roots in. But after that, it's very, very drought tolerant. Again, beautiful flower, not grown an awful lot. It's not one of the more common annuals you see, but it's probably a little bit underused, and you can see it really is a beautiful flower. Does well in containers, does well as a cut flower as well. Lasts probably 10 days as a cut. So really nice flower to grow, very available in the local nurseries. Thank you.
Mark, thank you.
The name's Angelonia.
Very good. Thank you. Tonight we have several proclamations scheduled. Madam Clerk.
Would representatives from Henrietta Volunteer Ambulance please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and legislators Carla F. Boyce and John Howland. Whereas the Mission Lifeline EMS Recognition Program was created by the American Heart Association to recognize hospitals on the basis of their performance quality. Beginning last year, the organization broadened the limits of those who could be accepted to include EMS agencies and now includes volunteer emergency response teams. And whereas the Henrietta Volunteer Ambulance was granted with the esteemed gold level of recognition within the Mission Lifeline EMS Recognition Program in 2015. The team was recognized for their consistent and high compliance to the American Heart Association's treatment guidelines, as well as their ST segment elevation myocardial infarction volume of over 4 patients for the year. They have exceeded performance expectations of the American Heart Association and have kept our residents safer in doing so. And whereas the volunteers of this program are among the most altruistic in Monroe County, and the town of Henrietta is lucky to benefit from their response time and performance. They excel at providing comfort to patients and their families, along with the tools they need to prevent cardiovascular disease and find support. And whereas Monroe County is proud to be the home of the Henrietta Volunteer Ambulance, the staff and volunteers of this program are making a difference in the community each and every day. Their dedication and compassion for others makes this community unique. Now, therefore, we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, Carla F. Boyce, Legislator District 5, and John Howland, Legislator District 13, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Henrietta Volunteer Ambulance for earning national recognition through the Mission Lifeline EMS Recognition Program. Congratulations.
First of all, thank you. I understand I only have 20 minutes, so I'll make this brief. I'm reminded of a quote by Will Rogers that says, even if you're on the right track, if you're not moving, you're going to get run over. And I think that we at Henrietta have been on the right track for a long time, and we keep moving. But an important thing about this particular recognition is it is multifaceted in the fact that not one person can make it happen. And I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank the people standing next to me, which is our President Tracy, our Treasurer Steve, Deputy Chief Jim, Assistant Chief Matt, and Assistant Chief Linda, and our Deputy Chief Larry, who isn't able to make it tonight. And also our medical director, Dr. Cushman, who never accepts okay is good enough. And, of course, the University of Rochester, where we take the majority of these patients. And there's a lot of wherefores and whatnot in this proclamation, but basically STEMI is a fancy way of saying you're having a heart attack that needs to be attended to in a really short amount of time. Otherwise, you're not going to be here much longer. So it's a great honor, and I appreciate everybody that's helped bring this forward, and we greatly appreciate your recognition. Enjoy your evening.
Would Kathy LeBou please come forward? Also, President Jeffrey R. Adair and Legislator Cynthia Cayley. Whereas Kathy LeBou founded Mary's Place in 2009 as a way to reach out to the community and bring people together. Mary's Place is a nonprofit refugee outreach center in Northwest Rochester with the mission of providing love, hope, and service to refugees of all faiths and nationalities. And whereas Mary's Place serves refugees from Burma, Thailand, Nepal, Bhutan, and several African countries including South Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, and Zambia. At Mary's Place, refugees can receive food, clothing, household items, and English language tutoring for adults and children. Ms. LeBou has dedicated her life to serving refugees, one of the world's most vulnerable populations, who have fled their home countries out of fear and have come to the United States seeking a new life. And whereas in February 28, 2015, Ms. LeBou retired from Mary's Place on her 75th birthday. Over 150 people, including volunteers, youth groups, and refugees whose lives she touched, came together to celebrate with homemade food, gifts, and songs. Ms. LeBou has forever changed the community, and her legacy will continue. Now, therefore, let it be known that we, Jeffrey R. Adair, President, and Cindy Cayley, Legislator, District 28, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, on this day, June 9, 2015, do hereby honor Kathy LeBou for her retirement as Executive Director from Mary's Place Outreach. Congratulations.
Might I just say, in addition to thank you, that 6-7 years ago, myself and a few of my friends were looking at how we could reach out into the neighborhood. And we saw people walking up and down Dewey Avenue, one of our main streets, dressed in sheets and wearing flip-flops in the middle of winter. And we set out to change that. We had no idea what we were taking on. But you go through our neighborhood, you see no one in sheets and flip-flops unless they have shoes in their closet, and they wear them by choice. And so thank you to everyone in the whole area, and thank you to the other organizations that began to work with the refugees and help them get their initial start. Thanks.
You have in your folders the approved minutes from the last cycle. There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. At this time, we're going to hold public hearing, public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Madam Clerk.
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature, and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds and exit through the back of the chambers. Thank you for your cooperation. Our 2 speakers tonight are Sister Grace Miller and Mrs. Morales.
Sanctuary Village closed, as you all know, on April 15th. We've had many cold nights in April and also now in May. Are you at all concerned about where the homeless are? We hear nothing from you. Your silence screams out at us. The homeless who are placed by our county workers are now back out on the streets. Many of them are in hiding because they are afraid of being arrested. Are you at all concerned? Where are your voices? Let me read a letter from one of the volunteers at the Downtown United Presbyterian Church when they took the homeless in for 2 weeks. This check for $100 comes from a friend who occasionally attends Doopsy and who said that she didn't need as much from her Social Security check this month. I thought you'd appreciate what she said about people who are homeless. And this is what she says. Thank you for sharing the wonderful news concerning the help to the homeless. Perhaps among the most important consequences of the actions were the interactions between two groups of people, the homeless and the volunteers, whose paths ordinarily would not cross. Too often we think of the homeless as people we don't want to get too close to, alcoholics, drug addicts, mentally ill, dirty, smelly, etc. We are willing to help them from a distance, but in this case, people got physically close to them. I can imagine that this experience helped convey to some that the homeless have all the needs and feelings that we all have. Those actions in behalf of the homeless helped me feel a little better about the organized church, which I feel is too caught up in hierarchy, ritual, pomp, and ceremony. I feel this concern with regard to some of the other social issues of today that are too caught up in politics. Are our alms to the poor enough? And when we stand before God in our final judgment, and the Lord says to us, when I was a stranger, did you take me in?
The bell rings loudest in your own home. As you look around the community, society, the world, you probably see many things you would like to change. Injustice, inequality, hatred, and poverty probably disturb you. You may be angered by the lack of respect and insensitivity to people and their needs. You want to speak out and sometimes strike out to make the change happen. But don't forget that God works from the inside out. You must first look within yourself to eliminate the fear, the anger, the imbalance in your life. Then and only then can you move forward to create peaceful and powerfully the changes needed in the world. The world I want begins within me. It is far better to be free to govern or misgovern yourself than to be governed by anybody else. When you look at the world, it is very easy to see what is not being done for you. When your needs are not met, when your interests are not being served, there is a tendency to complain. If the one entrusted to serve, protects, and guide, and promotes his own interests above yours, you learn to do for yourself. It matters not what experience you lack, your interests will guide you. Give no concern to what they say you cannot do. Be willing to accept the challenge. Do not be afraid to question the process. New systems are born from the questioning of the old. Take time to retreat to the quiet place where within the pit of your soul and unleash your right to decide what is best for you. I am the source of my governance.
This concludes the public forum.
At this time, we'll recess the June 9, 2015 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature and convene the Pure Waters Administration Board for the Gates, Chile, Ogden Sewer District, the Irondequoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, the Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, and the Rochester Pure Waters District. The clerk will please note that the attendance, and we'll read the first item on the agenda.
PWeb Agenda Item 1, Referral 15-0161.
Moved by Legislator Marinetti, second by Legislator Yolovich. This is a motion to adopt. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
PWAB agenda items 2, 3, 4, and 5, referral 15-0170.
Moved by Legislator Marinetti, second by Legislator Yolovich. This is also a motion to adopt. Is there any questions at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. At this time, we will recess the Gates, Charlie Ogden Sewer District, the Rondequoit Bay South Central Pure Waters District, the Northwest Quadrant Pure Waters District, and the Rochester Pure Waters District, and adjourn the Pure Waters Administration Board. The June 9th, 2015 meeting of the Legislature is now reconvened. At this time, we'll proceed with the considerations of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
President, I'd like to make a motion that we move the agenda in its entirety with the exception of referral number 5 and 18 through 21.
Do I have a second on that? A second by Legislator Andrews. You all set, Jamie? Is there any discussion on the moving? If not, hearing that, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. We will now move, when you're ready, to item number 5.
Item number 5, referral 15-0157.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question. I inquired at the committee meeting about the use of local vendors for this project. In the memo that we received this afternoon from Mr. Napier, we now know that 3 Rochester-based entities, namely Bergman Associates, Genesee Finger Lakes RPC, and the Rochester Institute of Technology, all submitted proposals to perform these services. Given the resolution adopted some years ago by the legislature to use Monroe County-based businesses for work, I'd like to ask why we're passing over the Rochester-based entities and the Monroe County-based entities in this instance.
Through the President, Fred Ryan, Monroe County Office of Emergency Management. The decision to go with this particular vendor was based upon the cost that was provided by all the vendors. This was a good cost based upon the work that we were looking at having completed, as well as the competence related to this particular project and all of the requirements that we had established in the request for proposals that was submitted and the responses from these vendors.
Through the President, was the cost proposed by Tetra Tech less than the costs proposed by either Bergman, Genesee Finger Lakes, or RIT?
Through the President, as I recall, the cost proposed by Tetra Tech was less than at least 2 of those vendors.
Well, then I guess I'd ask why the third, why we're passed over the third.
Through the chair, again, that goes to the second part of my earlier response in terms of the proposal, the request for proposals that we put forward and all the expectations that we had in that proposal, and then the response from the vendor did not rise to the level that Tetra Tech did. So therefore, we chose that vendor.
Final question through the chair. Which one of the 3 local outfits is it that proposed a lower fee than Tetra Tech?
Through the President, I believe it was RIT that had the best proposed fee based upon the scoring sheets.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Which of the three?
Rochester Institute of Technology.
And Rochester Institute of Technology was deemed not capable of performing the work?
Through the President, for this particular type of plan, which is a very important plan for the county and all the municipalities that adopt it as its plan, RIT had no experience developing or writing a hazard mitigation plan compared to Tetra Tech that has written several.
Thank you. Final question, what was the difference in the fee between RIT and Tetra Tech?
Through the President.
Through the President.
Thank you.
Through the President, I don't have that information with me.
Thank you.
Legislator Baroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. In light of that, I'd just like to disclose I'm actually employed by RIT.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, let's move to a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. The next item on the agenda will be item number 18. Madam Clerk.
Item number 18, referral 15-0171.
Moved by Legislator Yolovich, second by Legislator Rocco. Is there any questions at this time? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the committee meeting, I pointed out that there were two errors on the chart of mortgage distributions that accompanied the referral, and I was inquiring as to when we're going to get corrected charts.
Mr. President, our apologies. We will make that information available tomorrow.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Item carries. We will now move on to item number 19.
Item number 19, referral 15-0176.S.
Moved by Legislator Tucciarello, second by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, could I ask why this is coming to us as an MOU this evening?
Through you, Mr. President, the legislative session in Albany is coming to a conclusion, and there would not be enough time to have this go through regular cycle to have this acted upon by the end of the state legislative cycle.
Thank you. Following up on that, then, through you again, Mr. President, could I just get a brief explanation of what it is we're doing this evening and how this came to us?
Through you, Mr. President, Deputy Hendel moved from the Deputy Sheriff's Civil Bureau to the Road Patrol, and when he moved over there as a Deputy Road Patrol Sheriff, he became eligible for the enhanced plan, but was, for some reason, he did not attend the new employee orientation because he was an existing employee and did not fill out the required form to move into the enhanced retirement plan. The union filed a grievance indicating the county violated the contract. We went to an arbitration hearing. The arbitrator determined that Deputy Hendel should have an opportunity to move into the enhanced retirement plan. And at the second day of the hearing, the parties, myself and the union attorney, entered into a labor management agreement to have them pursue the correct retirement plan. As you know, here in Monroe County, we can't place the person in the right retirement plan. So 2 weeks ago, we heard word from the state that you know, the legislation is being submitted to the Senate and Assembly next week, and that's how it came about.
Thank you. Through the President, are there any other similar cases like this pending with other employees?
Through you, Mr. President, no.
Thanks. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Haney.
Through the chair. So the error in this case was committed by the employee?
Through you, Mr. President, the individual in the Sheriff's Department that was in charge of new employee orientation at the time that Deputy Hendel went from the Civil Bureau to the Road Patrol, at the time of the arbitration was no longer an employee of the county, so we could not backtrack to see if he actually informed Mr. Hendel to attend new employee orientation to fill out the forms.
Through the chair, does the employee have retroactive contributions that have to be made up for these years?
Through Mr. President, I do not believe so.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe so.
So through the chair, all of the costs will fall to the county to correct this?
Through Mr. President, that would be correct. This would be the amount that we would have paid anyways if he was in the right plan at the time of enrollment and eligibility.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item is item number 20.
Item number 20, referral 15-0177.A.
Moved by Legislator Tucciarello, it is seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Item number 21, referral 15-0178, confirming nominations for Young Citizen of the Year.
Moved by the Honorable Robert J. Colby, seconded by the Honorable Dr. Joe Carbone. Not bad, huh? Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Barra.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I was reviewing this, I came across something that caused me to wonder what addresses are used for the youth who win these awards. Is it the youth's address or perhaps a guardian? And the reason I ask is because District 24 is listed for one of these award winners, and the zip code is not correct. It could not be my district. And so I was wondering perhaps there's another alternative explanation.
Not a typo.
It could be a typo.
I don't know. Good question. We'll see if there's anyone here that can answer that.
Through you, Mr. President, we would be more than willing to look into that matter. It is through previous legislature inquiries about privacy relating to these individuals that we no longer provide the addresses in full on the referral. So we would have to follow up with you, Legislator Broth, if that's okay.
Thank you. So the President's aware, I'm perfectly fine with the youth, of course, winning the award. I just want to make sure that, you know, either Representative Legislator Michie Kay or Kaylee would get appropriate honors if they were, in fact, from that district.
I believe, Legislator Broth, that's very noble of you. But in the last redistricting, I think you did get this. I'm just kidding. All right. Relax. Stand down.
Then I'll follow up with the administration.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? And it's a great list this year, by the way, too. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. There being no unfinished business tonight. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Legislator Haney has a question. I'm going to allow it tonight because we're getting out of here.
Thank you, Mr. President. The 2014 CAFRA report. Since the financial statements apparently are finished.
You know, Legislator Haney, let me look into. I believe it's been some. Yeah, just I'll talk to the clerk and we'll get back to you quickly on that. I think we've already got that. Let me just find out. Okay.
We haven't.
I got that. I understand. I'm going to ask. All right. I'll get back to you ASAP when we find out. All right. There being no unfinished business, Legislator Tucciarello.
Mr. President, we stand adjourned until 6 p.m. Tuesday, July 14th, 2015. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.